Can you see the slide? Hello? Can you see slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, good morning to all of you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning. So today we'll start the second part of the internal features of the heart, right? Uh, so we have completed the atrial portion, both right and the left atrium, that is interior of right and left atrium. So today we'll move directly towards the ventricles. Okay. So similar to the like last time we have mentioned, like right atrium was very important for your theory also and for your sports also. Similarly in the ventricles also, if you remember one chamber, it will definitely help in the other chamber also, right? So be concentrated while teaching. That is, we'll start with the right ventricle. Okay, most of the features or characteristic features will be similar in the right and left ventricle. Okay. So directly without making delay, we'll go to this part is the right ventricle. Okay. Last time we have completed the right atrium. So move directly to the right ventricle. Okay. So in the right ventricle, you can see first of all location. That is this is the right ventricle. Okay. So only one thing you have to remember between the right and left ventricle is the muscular thickness, right? You know, most of the that is the oxygenated blood will be carried by the left, that is the left atrium to left ventricle and the ascending aorta. So they have to pump that work hard more. So for that purpose only, that the wall, like the musculature of the left ventricle are thicker. Okay, thicker. And if you see the orifice of the, that is the left atrioventricular orifice and the right atrioventricular orifice, if you see, that is the difference only. Okay, otherwise that is other than musculature and almost other features are same. Okay, so muscle you have to mention specifically, that is the left ventricular muscles, that is the thicker compared to the musculature of the right ventricle. Okay, now moving towards the location of the or the orientation of the right ventricle in comparison to the right atrium only. So the right ventricle, okay, this is the right ventricle as a whole, and we have reflected this anterior, that is the surface or sternocostal surface. So after reflecting, you can see, so it is situated in front. Okay, now this is the right atrium. So in comparative to the right atrium, so it is somewhat in front and to the left side, because the heart almost is directed downward, forward, and most medially or towards the left side. Okay, so left of the, you can see this is the right atrium. If you see, this is moving downward, forward, and towards the left side only. Okay, projecting towards the left side, so directing downward also. And in front, this is in front of the right atrium and slightly to the left. Okay, and in the cross section, right, in the CS cross section of the, that is ventricle as a whole ventricle, if you see, this is the cross sectional pictures only. On the cross section right ventricle, okay, we are seeing this is semilunar. Okay, half moon shape only, this is semilunar. Okay, so most of the blood is in the right ventricle, so it will push the wall of the, that is interventricular septum, will more pushing towards the right ventricle. So this is smaller. Okay, that is the, this portion is semilunar in shape because of the, that is the more action of the left ventricle. Okay, so on cross section the shape of the, that is the right ventricle is semilunar in shape. Okay, I hope you have already studied in the previous days also. And then the wall, just now I mentioned, the wall of the right ventricle, this one is the wall of the right ventricle will be thinner, and then that of the left ventricle, that is in the 1:3 ratio. Okay, 1 is for the right ventricle and 3 times thicker is the left ventricle. So for Viva you have to remember that is the thickness of the right and the left ventricle. Okay, now moving towards the to today's topic part only, that is the interior of the right ventricles and the left ventricle. So firstly, right ventricle. So in the right ventricle, that last time we have completed, that is the atrio, that is the right atrioventricular orifice was there, right? That is the communication between the right atrium and the right ventricle via the right atrioventricular orifice. Okay, so the part that is moving downward, okay, the blood from the right atrium will go towards the right ventricle. So that part is known as the inflow tract. So inflow tract are also known as the ventricular proper. Okay, both name you have to remember. So while studying development, again these things will come. That is the ventricular proper. Okay, ventricular proper or the inflow tract of the, that is the right ventricle is the one part. Okay, and after, if there is inflow tract, definitely there has to go from the amount of the blood entering into the right ventricle has to again pass via the pulmonary trunk, right? So again it has the outflow tract, okay, that is known as the infundibulum part. Okay, infundibulum part are also known as conus arteriosus. Okay, so inflow tract are also known as the ventricular proper. On the outflow tract, you can see this one shiny portion smooth, that is the outflow tract, or also known as infundibulum or the conus arteriosus. And these two parts are now separated by the one area. Okay, like in the right atrium we have seen the crista terminalis. So two parts are separated from each other by a muscular ridge again. Okay, that is the partition that is done by the supraventricular crest, or also known as infundibulum part, that is infundibulum, and the ventricular proper, that is known as infundibuloventricular crest, or the supraventricular, above the ventricle, that is known as supraventricular crest. That is the this part only. Okay, supraventricular crest or the infundibuloventricular crest. Okay, that is the partition in between the inflow tract or the ventricular proper and the outflow tract or the infundibulum of the right ventricle. Now moving toward the inflow tracts in details, or the ventricular proper. So these inflow tract or the ventricular proper or the ventricle, you can, this is here, receives the blood from the right atrium. So now features of the, that is the ventricular proper, right ventricular proper or the inflow tract. So it comprises, that is the ventricular proper comprises of now, that is the tricuspid valve complex. In the tricuspid valve complex only you can mention right atrioventricular orifice. I have mentioned separately, but this is the same complex. Okay, so right atrioventricular orifice, you can see this is the opening, that is the right atrioventricular orifice, along with the right that is the tricuspid valve complex. Okay, tricuspid orifice, from there, that is the tricuspid valve complex. After that, that is like in the right atrium you have heard about the muscle, that is musculi pectinati or the pectinate muscle. So in the right ventricle and both in the left ventricle, that is the trabeculae carneae, these are the muscle, right, that is the elevated muscular ridge present on the that is the inflow tract of the ventricular proper. This is the trabeculae carneae. Okay, these are the most important features which are present on the inflow tract of the right ventricle. Okay, so tricuspid valve complex, right atrioventricular orifice, okay, and that is the trabeculae carneae. These are a muscle that is present on the, that is the ventricular proper. So now moving towards the tricuspid valve complex. So you can see that is the reflected part of the, that is the atrioventricular orifice. You can see this is the complex formed by, that is the tricuspid, because three cusps are there in the right. Okay. Okay, so they are the tricuspid valve, and the structure within this complex, that is tricuspid valve, are the, that is the complex structures present. So those structure will mention now. So that is the, these tricuspid valve complex are guarded by the, at the right atrioventricular orifice or the tricuspid orifice. Okay, includes first, that is the orifice of the right, that is the right atrioventricular orifice or the tricuspid orifice only, you can say. So now shape of the tricuspid, that is the right atrioventricular orifice is oval. Okay, and communicate, that is the right atrium with the right ventricle is the function, and the orientation is like this is vertically, okay, oriented, making an angle of, that is 45 degree, that you have to remember for your viva, with the sagittal plane. Okay, orientation is vertical, angle is 45 degree with the sagittal plane. Okay, and which is directed now downward, forward, and towards the apex side only, that is on the left side. Okay, so 45 degree to the sagittal plane, directed downward, forward, and medially towards the apex of the heart, that is the direction of the right atrioventricular orifice. And now circumference of the diameter of the orifice, that is after we have to approximate these together to form the orifice, that is 10 to 12 centimeter. Okay, diameter of the orifice is 10 to 12 centimeter. So in some, that is the pathological condition, there might be the narrowing of the orifice, right? So normal diameter is 10 to 12 centimeter. That is the circumference of the orifice of the tricuspid, that is the right atrioventricular orifice. So now after that, what are the complex other than the orifice, that is the right atrioventricular orifice was one on the tricuspid valve complex. After that you will get that is the tricuspid annulus. Okay, these are very new term to you. Okay, so you have to read more for to know about these terms actually. So tricuspid valve complex comprises of, first we have completed the right atrioventricular orifice or the tricuspid orifice. Now after that is the tricuspid, again annulus. So here you can see in the green color, and here it is, that is the exact annulus. Here you can't see, but in the, that is the base of the cusp, that is round area, that is annular form, right? We have studied actually. Annular means round structure which are formed by the collagenous fiber. Okay, so this is the collagenous ring formed by the collagen fibers only. Okay, that is the about the tricuspid annulus. Okay. Surrounding the, that is the orifice or the opening of the atrioventricular, okay, and which encircle or surround the orifice. And here you can see there are three leaflet. Here if you see that, you can see the three leaflet or the cusp of the tricuspid valve complex. Here also you can see wide and thin area, that is the, so this cusp, okay, so they have two regions. You can see towards the ventricle, you can see narrow, and base, okay, base are attached to the, that is the annulus, that is the tricuspid annulus. Cusp or the leaflet, this is the cusp or leaflet. Here also you can see these are the cusp or the leaflet. So this is the basal site of the leaflet. You can see the apical region of the leaflet or the cusp. Okay, so this is the annulus, fibrous annulus or the tricuspid annulus. So these cusp or the leaflet are attached, that is the base of the leaflet are attached to the, that is the tricuspid annulus. Okay, that is about the tricuspid annulus. And the lamina fibrosa of the cusp, okay, they are the fibrous tissue on the, that is the lamina fibrosa of the, that is cusp, are continuous with the, that is the collagenous fibers. Okay, that is the collagenous tissue of the, here the same annulus. Okay, this is the annulus. So this collagen fiber, that is the lamina fibrosa, will be continuous with the collagen fibers which are present on the fibrous ring or the tricuspid annulus. Okay, that is about the tricuspid annulus or the fibrous ring of the tricuspid valve complex. So about these again we will study in the fibroskeleton of the heart, little bit about in the fibroskeleton of the heart again. Okay, after that, that is the annulus ring or the fibrous ring. So these are the leaflet or the cusp of the valve. Okay, so leaflet or the cusp, same thing. So you can see in the tricuspid, right? By the tri means three. So in the right ventricle, you have to remember there are three cusps. Okay, you can see anterior facing toward the anterior side. So according to the arrangement of the, that is the direction of the leaflet, attachment of the leaflet, they are named as anterior, okay, facing anteriorly or okay, and posteriorly, okay, facing inferiorly or towards the posterior side, and towards the septum, okay, that is the septum, that is interventricular septal side, that is the septal leaflet. Okay, so septal are not always present. So in most of the cases, if you see in the specimen, you will not get the, that is the septal leaflet. Okay, so these leaflet, if you see, they are thin sheath only, they are forming the curtain. Okay, curtain that is close to the annulus. Okay, so form the curtain close to the annulus, and these that is the curtain like structure are extending, are projecting towards the ventricular cavity. Okay, they are projecting towards the ventricle as the individual leaflets. You can see here separately they are projecting towards the ventricular cavity only, or the ventricles of the heart only. So if we compare between the three, if you see anterior, it is that anterior cusp or the leaflet is the largest one, whereas the septal is the smallest one. Okay, septal is smallest one, whereas the anterior leaflet is the largest one. is about the, that is the cusp or the, you can see, or the leaflet of the valve or the tricuspid valve only. Okay, so here if you see the picture, it will be more clear. You can see these are the leaflet. Okay, so green color, you can see that is the fibrous annulus or the tricuspid annulus. So just beneath the annulus, you can see these are the three. Okay, you see smallest one, you can see septal leaflet, not very well developed, whereas the anterior and the posterior are larger also, you can see. And this, okay, this is about the, that is the cusp or the leaflet of the tricuspid valve complex. So on, this is the basal side, okay, which is resting towards the fibrous annulus. This is the basal side of the cusp, whereas you can see these are the rough part that is facing towards the, that is cord like structure. Okay, these are the, that is rough side, okay, rough side or the apical side of the that is the cusp or the leaflet. So now we can see that is the, that is fan shaped cord, that is the, you can see indentation or the deep indentation in between. Okay, this is the posterior leaflet, septal leaflet and the anterior leaflet. Okay, in between this leaflet you can see a depressed area or deep indentation between the posterior and septal and the septal and the anterior. Okay, these are known as, these deep indentation are known as the commissures. Okay, so these are the commissures. Okay, in these commissures, if you see here, you can see this tendinous structure are known as the chordae tendineae. Okay, so one chordae tendineae is almost like fan like, okay, fan shaped chordae, that is the chordae. So chordae tendineae which is attached to this deep indentation or the commissures, okay, that is known as, that is the fan shaped chordae tendineae. Okay, this one which is attached, okay, in the, that is the commissures of the fibro, that is the cusp, okay, indentation of the commissures. Okay, now in between the junction you can see this is the posterior leaflet, anterior leaflet. Okay, that is the, this is the commissures. Okay, the commissures, now again you can mention like antero posterior commissure in between the anterior and the posterior leaflet. Okay, this is the, if we join these together, so antero posterior, that is the one. Okay, another is the postero, that is the posterior and the septal. Okay, this commissure, the posterior leaflet and the septal leaflet, in between these two one commissure is present, that is known as the posteroseptal. Okay, and then the anteroseptal, you can see the commissure in between the anterior cusp or the leaflet and the, that is the septal leaflet, that is known as anteroseptal commissure. And in between the anterior and the posterior, there is one commissure that is known as the antero-posterior commissure. Okay, this is about the commissure. And now in the, these are this we have mentioned anterior cusp or the leaflet, septal and the posterior leaflet. So in the anterior leaflet, if you see, there is only one scallop you can see here. So in the posterior you can see three, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so posterior leaflet has two cleft, one cleft and the two cleft, whereas the three scallops, okay, 1, 2 and the three scallops, okay, in the posterior. Whereas in case of anterior, only there are the one cleft and the two scallops. Okay, so septal doesn't have. And again on the east leaflet, so we'll go for this one only, posterior leaflet. So in this leaflet you will get again within the cusp three areas. Okay, three areas. So we'll go from the basal side only. So this is the basal zone which is close to the, that is the tricuspid annulus, which is very small area if you compare three, small area only. Okay, after that you will get the middle part. Okay, middle part, again you can see the, this one clear zone only, middle part is clear zone, and anterior part is known as the rough zone. Okay, so anterior part is rough zone because of direct attachment of the chorda tendineae. So anterior rough zone, middle clear zone where there is no any attachment of the chorda tendineae, where the basal zone there might be the basal chorda tendineae sometime attached. Okay, and it is very narrow area only is the, that is the basal zone. So three zones of the cusp are the leaflet, that is the anterior most, you can say rough zone, intermediate is the clear zone, and the more deeper is the basal zone, which is approximate with the annulus or the fibrous annulus or the tricuspid annulus. So now coda tendini. Okay, so coda here, as you can see, this is the, you can see thin sheet like formed by the collagenous fibers only. So these are the endothelial covered collagenous, that is the thread like structures only. They are known as the coda tendini. Okay, these are about the coda tendini, endothelial covered collagenous threads. So you can see extension. If you have now, you remember these are the cusp or the leaflet, and here you can see that is the what to say, conical muscular structures. So there you can see connection between this musculature and that is the leaflet or the cusp of the tricuspid valve complex. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the coda tendini. So these are nothing but the collagenous thread like structures. What they are doing is connecting between these, that is the conical musculature, that is known as papillary muscles. Okay, so papillary muscles with the leaflet or the cusp of that is the valve. Okay, so there is the connecting the leaflet or cusp with the apical third of the papillary muscle is the function of the, you can see, coda tendini. Okay, so there are basically, that is the two types of coda tendini. Okay, so there are true coda tendini or the false coda tendini. Okay, true false has no specific function actually, just they are randomly running around the ventricular wall. Okay, about the false coda tendini. Whereas the true that is the true coda tendini connects the, that is the apical third. You can see that the apical third of the papillary muscle to the free margin and the ventricular surface of the tricuspid. This is the ventricular surface of the tricuspid valve complex. So they are the connecting, okay, to the ventricular surface of the, that is the ventricle. Okay, true cord, there is a true chordate tendini connects the, you can see this is the apical portion, that is the apical third of the papillary muscles to the free margin. This can be free margin and the ventricular surface of the is the tricuspid valve complex. Okay, so they are connecting, again function is connecting, but here they are connecting the apical third of the papillary muscle to the ventricular surface, that is the tricuspid valve complex. Indirectly you can see these are the, that is the cusp or the leaflet. They are connecting the leaflet. Okay, leaflet. The coda tendini. So that is about the connection. After that, that is the function of the true coda tendini. Okay, so they help, main most important function of the coda tendini is they help in the, this is open now, so closure of the valve. Okay, that is the tricuspid valve during systole, that is contraction of the ventricle. So they help in the closure of the valve, complete closure of valve, and due to this they will also present, that is the inward turning of the leaflet, that is the, this leaflet can turn towards the atrium. Okay, retracting or the inversion or the, that is the turning of the leaflet, that is cusp or the leaflet towards the atrium is prevented by the coda tendini. Okay, so most importantly, same thing, that is the closure of the valve, that is complete closure of the valve is performed by the, that is the coda tendini. Okay, and also along with that, that is the preventing the leaflet, that is the turning of the leaflet towards the atrium. Okay, that is the function of the coda tendini. So now types according to the attachment to the leaflet. So types of coda tendini according to the attachment to the, this leaflet or the cusp of the tricuspid valve complex. So they might be when they are attached to the commissures. So they might be at the commissural, and when they are attached to the cleft, okay, they are known as cleft. When they are freely attached, they are known as free marginal, and after that, when they are attached to the rough zone, so rough, okay, they are the rough. After that, they are the deep, okay, and the basal type. If you remember the name only, that is sufficient. Okay, about the details you don't need to remember. Coda tendini function and that is the true function of the true chordate tendini. This much if you remember, that is sufficient. Okay, and in case if you remember, you can mention the name only. You don't need to describe in details about the chordate tendini. Okay. So now moving towards the second part of the tricuspid valve complex, that is the trabeculae carneae. Okay, so trabeculae carneae are the, you can see these are the muscular ridges like structure which are present on the inflow tract. Okay, so wall of the inflow tract now is rough, and these are due to the, that is the muscular elevation present on the that is the interior of the right ventricle. So they are named as the trabeculae carneae. Okay, muscular elevation or the ridges present. Okay, they are known as trabeculae carneae, and these trabeculae carneae again are divided into three parts. Okay, there are three types of trabeculae carneae. Again, very important for sporters. Okay, remember. So these three, all of the three are very important for sporters. That under trabeculae carneae there are three types: ridges. Okay, that is elevated part. What you can see, that is known as ridges. That is the fixed elevated portion present on the this part of the right ventricle, that is known as ridges. After that, like breeze, you know the breeze. Okay, like breeze, there also there is the presence of breeze in which the central end is fixed. Okay, that is the only one end are fixed and the central part is free. Okay, and the two sides are there. Okay, two sides in the central part is free, whereas the two end of the breeze are the fixed part. And after that, other than that, another third thing present. Okay, these were the ridges and the, that is the breezes, and one thing is the papillary muscle. Okay, so under trabeculae carneae you have to remember three parts. So ridges, elevated ridge, and the breezes, that is connection. Okay, breezes for the connection only, and third is the pillar, that is known as the papillary muscle. Okay, so ridges, breezes, and the papillary muscles come under the trabeculae carneae. Okay, so now ridges. So ridges are the fixed, that is the linear elevation present on the, that is the inflow tract of the right ventricle or the part of the trabeculae carneae. Okay, that is the ridges. So ridges on the, there are so many ridges, and if we have to go under one, that is very important ridge that we can see on the, that is the wall of the, that is the ventricle, that is also known as special noted ridge, that is known as supraventricular crest. Okay, supraventricular crest. Okay, so supraventricular crest, the most noticed or the important crest or the elevated portion present on the ventricle. So which is, that is present in the posterior wall of the infundibulum. Okay, which passes on the posterior wall of infundibulum. Infundibulum, that is the outflow tract, you know now, and from the ventricular, which extend from the ventricular septum. Okay, ventricular septum. Okay, to the, that is the right atrioventricular orifice. Okay, that is the so supraventricular crest. So for sporters also you have to remember one prominent ridge which is present on the right ventricle, that is known as supraventricular crest. So many ridges are there, out of which supraventricular crest is the prominent ridge which extend along the posterior wall of the infundibulum from the ventricular septum to the right atrioventricular orifice. So these supraventricular crest is the remnant of the bulboventricular ridge. Okay, so embryological was remnant of the bulboventricular ridge. Okay, so this is about the ridge. If you remember, that much is sufficient. After that ridge, we have mentioned about the breeze. Okay, so breeze now are the, like the pool, you know, that is the pool. Two fixed ends are there, whereas in the central part is freely moving. Okay, that is the free part is the center, and the two ends are the fixed part. Okay, so here also like the supraventricular crest. Okay, here also one important structure is there in the breeze also. So specific noticed part, that is known as the septomarginal tuber. There you can see here, that is the trabeculae. Okay, septomarginal trabeculae are also known as moderator band. Okay, whatever you can write important for sportos again. So septomarginal, that is also connecting part only. That is connecting the different part of the wall only. Septomarginal trabeculae or moderator band. Okay, one bridge that is known as septomarginal trabeculae or the moderator band. So here you can see, or even here also you can see. So specimen. So this is a thick muscular ridge. Okay, thick muscular ridge extending from the, this is the septum, that is the ventricular interventricular septum, you can see. So extending from the ventricular septum to the, this is the band, to the, this is the apical part of the papillary muscle, this is the basal part of the papillary muscle. So these muscular bridge, you can say, that is the moderator band extending from the, that is the ventricular septum to the base of the anterior papillary muscle. Okay, in the ventricular cavity only. Okay, so that is the extension from the ventricular septum to the base of the anterior papillary muscle. Okay, that is the moderator band, nothing but the muscular ridge extending from the ventricular septum to the base of the anterior papillary muscle. So we'll discuss again about the papillary muscle. There are three types again. So what is the most important function? This is very commonly asked question, okay, for the sporters. So this, the function of these moderator band or the septomarginal trabeculae. One you can mention either septomarginal trabeculae or the moderator band. So function is it carries the right branch of atioventricular bundle. Okay, right branch of AV bundle is passes via this moderator band or the septomarginal trabeculae. Okay, that is the part of conducting system of the heart. And along with that, it also prevents the overdistension of the right ventricle. Okay, that is about the bridge or the moderator band. Now moving towards the papillary muscles. So these are the papillary muscles. You can see this is the anterior papillary muscle which we are seeing, and towards the septum you can small, that is the septal papillary muscles. Okay, another is the on the posterior side, that is the posterior or the inferior papillary muscles. So papillary muscle, these are the conical muscular projection. Okay, one, if you see there are two ends, that is the apical end and the basal end. So apical end is attached towards the, that is the chorda tendineae. Okay, that is the, and another end is attached to the, that is the ventricle wall of the ventricle. Okay, so this is about the papillary muscle. Okay, so conical muscular projection with the two ends, apical end and the basal end. Basal end are connected to the ventricular wall and apical end are connected to the leaflet via the, that is the chorda tendineae. They are the, that is the collagenous thread-like structures. Okay, so again these papillary muscle are of three types. So anterior or towards the sternocostal surface, that is the anterior papillary muscles, which are the largest one. Okay, and the posterior, okay, they are small and irregular and sometimes present, they are the septal papillary muscles. So just now I have mentioned this is the base of the papillary muscle. So base of the anterior papillary muscles are attached to, this is the sternocostal surface. So they are attached to the, that is the sternocostal surface, that is close to the, that is the septal wall. You can see close to the moderator band also. So they are closely attached to the septal wall in the sternocostal surface. Whereas the posterior papillary muscles are attached to the, that is the posterior wall or the inferior surface of the, that is the ventricle, inferior wall of the ventricle. Okay. So this we have mentioned apical third will give attachment to the chorda tendineae, which will connect with the, that is the what to say, tricuspid valve complex or the cusp or the leaflet of the tricuspid valve complex. That is about the papillary muscles. Okay. So now this is also extra. If you want to remember, you can remember this part. So chorda tendineae of the anterior papillary muscles are attached to the anterior and the posterior leaflet. Okay, so these are the Chorda tendini of the anterior papillary muscles. They are attached to the anterior and the posterior leaflet, whereas the chorda tendini of the posterior papillary, that is the papillary muscle, attached to the posterior and the septal, whereas the septal chordae, if present, they will attach to the anterior and the septal. That is the chordae. Okay. So now function, along with the papillary muscles and the chorda tendini together, they have function like regulate the perfect closure of tricuspid valve complex during the systole by bringing the atrial surface of the rough zone of the leaflet together. Okay, that is approximating the rough zone of the leaflet. So now role of the same papillary muscles in the acute cardiac failure. So this muscle prevent this papillary muscles along with the chorda tendini also we can mention, prevent the prolapse or the inversion of the atrioventricular valve into the atria during the ventricular systole. That means they will prevent the valve to enter into the atrium during the ventricular systole, one function. So same the opposite occurs when this muscle get ruptured, right? So if this papillary muscle get ruptured, so in that case, that mainly in the myocardial infarction MI, that will allow the prolapse of the affected cause to occur into the atrium during the systole only, right? So same, the main thing is you have to remember they will prevent the prolapse of the atrioventricular valve into the atria. So there the blood from the right ventricle will not regurgitate into the right atrium. Okay, otherwise there will be production of the different heart sound like murmurs, right? That is the function of the papillary muscles. Okay. So now moving towards the outflow tract. Okay, outflow tract or the infundibulum or the conus arteriosus. So now you have to remember infundibulum. Okay, infundibulum part or the outflow tract is known as the outway or the gate type only you can say. So outflow tract again, that the infundibulum is the conical and smooth wall and truncated. Okay, so conical and now direction, so directed and now upward. So inflow tract was directed downward, forward and towards the left. Okay, whereas now just above only is the difference. So outflow tract is directed upward, backward and to the left again. Okay, outflow tract will be carried by the pulmonary trunks only. So directed upward and backward and to the left, and which is obtuse angle with the inflow tract. And apex of the outflow tract comprises of the pulmonary orifice. Okay, so now pulmonary orifice, you can see this blue color. So pulmonary orifice is a circular in orientation and which is guarded by again the 3 semilunar cusp. Okay, so for one thing you have to remember for the viva again, so it has one in front, the cusp is one is in front, whereas the behind there are 2 right and left. Okay, posteriorly right and left and anteriorly 1. So cusp are directed anteriorly is 1 and 2 on the posterior side. Okay, so after that above this each cusp in this is the pulmonary trunk only, right? So above the cusp pulmonary trunk has one dilatation. So dilatation means always you can remember like sinus is the dilated part only. So that dilated part which is present above the cusp, that is known as the pulmonary sinus. So this pulmonary sinus is filled with that is regurgitated blood which is present during the diastole. So small amount of blood will always present in this pulmonary sinus. Okay, that is the regurgitated blood which is present during the diastolic period only. That is about the pulmonary orifice. Now moving towards the left ventricle. Okay, so now left ventricle, that is the conical in shape and which is circular. That was semilunar in shape. Okay, whereas the right ventricle was semilunar, whereas the left ventricle is circular in the shape. Okay, because interventricular septum is deviated towards the right ventricle. Okay, so musculature is 3 times thicker than that of the right ventricle. Okay, and now in this case the inflow tract and the outflow tract, that is inflow tract the ventricular proper and the outflow tract that is the aortic only vestibule. Okay, they are closely that is the in close relation. Okay, they are almost closely present, and so that the vector of growth from the acute angle. So there is presence of acute angle in between the inflow tract and the outflow tract. Okay, so now moving towards the part of the left ventricle. So similar to the right ventricle, it also has the inflow tract, which is also known as the ventricular proper. Only difference is in the outflow tract, that is known as aortic vestibule. Okay, so outflow tract in the right ventricle, that is known as that is infundibulum part. Okay, whereas the outflow tract in the left ventricle is known as aortic vestibule or the outflow tract. Inflow tract is same. Okay, that is known as the ventricular proper. So now inflow tract or the ventricular proper. So if you have remembered about the tricuspid valve complex which is present in the right ventricle, so that same will be here. So we'll not discuss in details about that. So features present on the inflow tract or the ventricular proper in the left ventricle. Okay. So first features like that in the right ventricle, that is the left atrioventricular complex or the mitral valve complex. So there was tricuspid valve complex, whereas in case of the left, that is the mitral valve complex is present. So mitral valve complex now comprises of, that is orifice at the left atrioventricular orifice or the mitral orifice, and that is fibrous annulus ring, that is known as mitral annulus. Okay, that is the fibrous skeleton of the heart. Okay, after that the leaflet or the cusp of the mitral valve, they are the two only. So difference again you have to notice here. So two cusps present on the left. In the right there are three cusps. So that is the tricuspid valve complex. Here only two leaflets are there. Are the two, that is the anterior and posterior. So that is the mitral. So anterior cusp and the posterior cusp are the anterior leaflet or the posterior leaflet only. Okay, you can see this is for the mitral and this is for the that is the tricuspid valve complex. This is the right atrioventricular part and this is the left atrioventricular part. So anterior cusp or the anterior leaflet, posterior cusp or the posterior leaflet, and this white color you can see, that is resting, where there is the resting of the basal side of the leaflet or the cusp. This round area which is made by the collagenous fibrous annulus or annulus fibrous, or the, you can see, that is the bicuspid. Okay, these are the source, and that is the connection, that is the apical or the ventricular surface of the, you can, that is the lower end of the, and the papillary surface, that is the papillary muscle connected by the, that is the endothelial cover collagenous tissue, the chordae tendini. So same thing will be here till now, right? So mitral orifice, the complex mitral valve complex comprises of mitral orifice or the left atrioventricular orifice, and the leaflet or the cusp of the mitral annulus, that is anterior and the posterior, and the chordae tendini. Okay, these are the one feature muscular ridges present on the, that is the inflow tract. Okay, trabeculae carne are the muscle, similar muscle present on the, that is also the left ventricle. Okay, so these trabeculae carne, if we compare, they will be more numerous and more prominent than in case of right ventricle. So they are more in the, that is the right left ventricle. Now papillary muscles. So there are two types of papillary muscles present in the left ventricle. So in the right ventricle, sometimes we can get the septal also. Okay. So whereas in case of left ventricle, two cusps are there and the two papillary muscle, that is two anterior and the posterior papillary muscles. Okay. So differences only you have to notice. So in the differences are two cusps or the two leaflets are present, and the muscles, that is the trabeculae carne, which are more prominent in case of left. Okay, and the two papillary muscle, that is anterior and the posterior papillary muscles. Okay, so now moving towards the outflow tract or the aorta. So outflow tract is smooth wall and again truncated conical structure situated above, in front and the right of the mitral orifice. Okay, that is the atrioventricular orifice. And the posterior wall, that is about the in front wall only, and the posterior wall of the aortic vestibule is formed by the of below the, that is the aorta, that is the presence of thin tissue only, that is known as subaortic curtain. Along with that, that is also formed by the ventricular surface mitral valve. Okay, subaortic curtain and the ventricular surface of the anterior leaflet of the mitral valve form the posterior wall of the aortic vestibule. Okay, so now the aortic is present, which is also guarded by the three cusp. Okay, semilunar, that is pulmonary cusp only. Only difference is here the orientation of the cusp. Here we have mentioned one is anteriorly and to right and left are the posterior cusp orientation only. In case of the aortic valve, so here you can see anteriorly are the two, where the posteriorly is the one. Okay, so two in the front, two cusp in front, and one is behind only. That is about the aortic cusp. So right anterior, left anterior, one is posterior. Okay, so here again like pulmonary, we have mentioned pulmonary sign was there. Okay, so here there, okay, and right anterior, left anterior, and posterior. So above the curves there is activation that is known as the aortic sinuses, which will give rise to the, that is the heart. Okay, that is the main arterial supply to the heart. Where the coronary arteries arises from these sinuses present on the, that is the aorta only, right? So they are, so right coronary artery which arises from the anterior or the aortic sinus, anterior aortic sinus, whereas the left coronary artery arises from the left posterior aortic sinus, and the right posterior aortic sinus is the non-coronary sinus. It's a very long topic actually. So now moving towards the partition in between the two ventricle. So we have completed the interior of right ventricle and interior of the left. Now moving towards the partition or separation in between these two ventricles. Okay, so you can see two colors only. On the lower end you can see inferiorly, you can see that is the muscular interventricular septum. So there are two parts. One is muscular, which is thick. Whereas thin part is the membranous part of the interventricular septum, which is very short, for short type. That is the short area only, you can mention short area is done by the membranous part of interventricular septum, whereas the large part is separated by the muscular part of the interventricular septum. Okay, so this is situated anterior and the inferior part of the, that is the septum. Okay, whereas the membranous part, you can see that is the membranous part is small only and located, and the posterior part. Okay? So posterior subcutaneous part, whereas the anterior and the inferior located septum is the muscular part of the interventrum. Okay, same thing divides the, that is the two ventricles are divided by interventricular part, and the, that is, and the right atrium from the aortic vestibule is separated by this. Okay, separated by the interventricular septum. Two ventricles and the atrium from the aortic are separated by the interventricular. Now moving toward the, that is the applied aspect of the, that is the heart. So I will discuss only gross part of the defect only, that embryological defect or the congenital defect will be taught in the development part only. So heart murmurs. Okay, so these are the abnormal sound of the heart. In times you can hear by the stethoscope also. So they are mainly produced that because regurgitation or the backflow of the blood. Okay, that is here walls are either narrowed, stenos, or when the valve are not properly closed, right? So which will finally, if there is not proper closure of the valve, like right atrioventricular, that atrioventricular valve are there, right? So those valve, if it doesn't properly, that is close approximation between the cause is not there, then the blood from the either from the right ventricle will backflow to the right atrium, or from the left atrium, that is the to the left atrium. In those cases, either stenosis case or that is the, in both cases we can see a abnormal type or different sound, that is the sound of the heart, that is known as the heart murmurs. Okay, and now stenosis. Okay, not complete closure of the, that is the valve. Okay, not close. Okay, that is known as the mitral stenosis, that is the narrowing of the, that is the orifice of the mitral, that is the right atrioventricular orifice or the left atrioventricular orifice, anything you can say. Left is for the mitral. Now we are talking about for the mitral, that is commonly mitral, that is stenosis or the narrowing is commonly seen in the young age. Okay, that is the young people only, not in old age. Mainly with the patient who have the rheumatic fever in the childhood. Okay, those who are suffering, we have suffered from the rheumatic fever in the early age of the period, so there is more chances of formation of the mitral stenosis or the narrowing of the mitral valve. Okay, and which finally lead to the, that is the pressure in the left atrium, and which subsequently lead to the, that is the enlargement of the left atrium, because blood from the left atrium that it can't pass to the, that is the left ventricle, which will finally lead to the compression of the esophagus. Okay, so that we have studied in the base of the heart also, right? So that will be the enlargement or excessive enlargement left atrium, because of the, that is the, there is no normal flow of the blood from the left atrium to the left ventricle. Okay, that is the excessive enlargement case that may compress its structure, not only esophagus, the which are structure present behind esophagus also it will compress, including the trach. So now clinical features, what are the features you can observe in the patients with the mitral stenosis? So there is the first, there is difficulty in breathing. Okay, difficulty in swallowing, and along with that it will also lead to the compression of the left recurring laryngeal nerve, which will lead to the, that is the hoarseness of voice. You have heard, I think different, that is the very voice, not high pitch, but that is thick voice you can hear in many cases, like you can see take emoji also has, right, similar type of voice, mainly from recurrent laryngeal nerve, which will lead to the, hoarseness of the voice. Okay, these are the suffering from the mitral stenosis. Okay, shortness of breath, dysphagia or difficulty in swallowing, including the hoarseness of the voice. Okay, trachea, esophagus, and the left recurrent laryngeal nerve are in danger because of the mitral stenosis. After that, there is the tricuspid, the right, you can see tricuspid stenosis. So in this case, blood flow from the, that is right atrium to the right ventricle is also reduced. And in this case again there will be increase in the pressure in the right atrium. Okay, so blood will not pass from the right atrium to the right ventricle, but blood from the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and from coronary sinus are coming. So that will finally lead to the sinus, the systemic venous congestion and right heart failure. Okay, so venous, that is enlargement of the systemic vein, that is systemic venous congestion, and the ultimately lead to the right heart failure in case of tricuspid stenosis. Now aortic stenosis, that is the stenosis of the aortic opening. So in this case there will be accumulation of the blood in the left ventricle, because that is the, from the blood from left, that is ventricle, is carried to the systemic, for systemic circulation via the aortic ascending aorta. So if it doesn't, there is a narrowing of the aortic opening, the accumulation of the blood in the left ventricle, and finally it will cause the dilatation of the left ventricle and hypertrophy of the left ventricle. So this also again lead to the low cardiac output, and that is the fainting of us. That is aortic stenosis. Similar to the aortic stenosis, there is a pulmonary stenosis. So stenosis, these are all after birth, of course, like aortic stenosis might occur after birth also, but most of the pulmonary stenosis are like developmental only during, and which will lead to the hypertrophy of the right ventricle. So later on in the study about. So in this one features is that is the hypertrophy of the right ventricle. This is the stenosis is the one part of the palm, that is the tetralogy of the Fallot, okay, which is congenital. So this is about the today's topic. Hello, class, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes,
very confusing,
ma'am.
right? Yeah, very difficult. So today you go and read line by line only, okay? Because it is the first time to hear all those names and function is very difficult. To read, okay? And if you want, you can follow other books also. If you want only, otherwise it is sufficient. Okay, read first. Okay, then only it will be clear. And three, more than the right atrium, it's more difficult, I think, right? That is ventricle portion. So mainly come to know about the left ventricle. Okay, clear. Mainly you have to read more for this one, and which are very important for your exam. Right ventricle, right atrium is very important for your exam. And I have mentioned sport added. If you have not added, then after finishing the heart last day, I will give MCQ also. Okay, MCQ I have not added, so MCQ first question from this hard topic I'll give in the last day. We have practical class on I think Tuesday. Whole heart. Okay, clear? Hello? Can't you hear me?
Ma'am, your voice is breaking sometimes.
Ma'am, your voice breaking.
Break? Is it breaking? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Okay, we have finished. Okay, then I think today network also is problem over here actually. So if next classes we can ask. It is already 13 now, right? So go through it. Okay, please go through it. It is not very easy topic actually. So read one by one. You can ask. Okay. Still you can hear me? So
Yes, ma'am, we can hear now.
Yes, ma'am.
you have heard or not? During class, have you heard my book?
At last 15 minutes it was breaking, ma'am.
Sorry. Silly. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can ask on the also.